Welcome back, students. We will be looking at section 1.8, practice problems for simplifying expressions. The first task that they want us to do is to categorize each of the terms within this first expression. So the expression is 3x plus 8 minus 4y minus 5. So remember, constants are the values that are all alone. So that is going to be an 8 and a negative 5. We're going to take that subtraction sign that's in front of it and put with it, okay? All right, our variables are the letters or symbols, and we have two of them. We have x and we have y. The coefficients are the numbers that are connected to a variable or a symbol through multiplication or division. So we have 3 times x and we have negative 4 times y. So 3 and negative 4 are going to be our coefficients. Now let's look and see if we can decide what are like or unlike terms in this next group. So in number 1, we have 9mn and we have 7mn. They both have an m to the power of 1. They both have an n to the power of 1. So they are, in fact, like terms. Now, remember, it doesn't matter if the 9 and the 7 are alike. It's whether or not the variables and their exponents are alike. So in number 1, these terms are like terms. Number 2, we have a negative 5x, a 2x, a 4.5x. First, we're going to look and see if all the variables are the same. They are all x's. And then we need to see if their exponents are the same. They are all the invisible 1, the invisible exponent of a 1. So they are, in fact, like terms. Number 3, we have 2 times x squared y, 4 times xy, and then 8 times xy squared. First, let's look and see if we have all the same variables. We do. All of them have an x and a y. Now I need to look at their exponents. Uh-oh, I see a problem. We have an x squared, we have an x to the power of 1, and we have another x to the power of 1. Those are not alike. They would either all have to be x squared or all just x to the power of 1. We have another problem. Our y's do not match. We have 2 y's that have a power of 1, and then we have 1 y that is squared to a power of 2. So they're not alike either. So in number 3, we're going to put the word unlike. These are unlike terms. They do not match. Now let's look at simplifying expressions. So remember, the first step is to find our like terms. I noticed that my 20 and my minus 10 are the same. They don't have a variable with them. I also notice my minus 12b is a like term with my single b here. I'm going to group my symbols together just so we can kind of see how they're going to combine. I take that minus sign that's in front of that 12b with it. So I have a negative 12b plus b. Then I have that positive 20, so plus 20 minus 10. This just makes it a little bit easier to see what goes together and how they will combine. So now I have a negative 12b plus a b. And remember that b is a single b. We have that invisible 1 in front of it. So we have a positive number and a negative number, which means we're going to have to take the difference between the two. So that's going to be 11b. The 12 is greater than the 1 that's invisible with that b, so it's going to be a negative 11b. And then we have 20 minus 10, which is just 10. And that problem is done. Number 5. Again, let's find our like terms. So the negative 4x is grouped with the 3x. The negative 5 is grouped with the 7 and the minus 2. I'm going to reorder these. So I have the negative 4x plus 3x. I take that plus sign with it because it's directly in front of it. Then I have my minus 5 plus 7 minus 2. My negative 4x plus 3x, they're different signs, so I'm going to subtract them and keep the sign of the greater. So I end up with just a 1x. The 4 is greater than the 3, so it's a negative 1x. Then I have my minus 5 plus 7 minus 2. Remember, we have to go in order from left to right. So a negative 5 plus a 7. We take the difference, which is 2, keep the sign of the greater, which is a plus. The 7 was greater than the 5. Now I have that minus 2 there. Okay. So now I'm going to write it to the side here just so we have enough room. The negative 1x, I don't actually write the 1. I would just write it as negative x. Then I have 2 minus 2, which is 0. So my answer is negative x. Okay. All right, I'm going to erase that just so it's not in the way of our next problem, but don't erase it on yours. Hopefully you had enough room. All right, so in number 6, we've got a lot of x's and y's, but we need to make sure that we match up the ones that actually match and not intermix them. So I have a 2x squared y plus a 4xy plus an 8xy squared minus x squared y. First glance, doesn't look like anything matches, but I do notice that the 2x squared y does actually match the minus x squared y, but nothing else matches, so we can't combine anything else. Those will be the only two items that can be combined. So I'm going to reorganize them to 2x squared y minus x squared y, and then just rewrite the rest of the problem. All right, so 2 minus that invisible 1 that's here, okay? 2 minus that is going to give us just a 1. So 1x squared y plus 4xy plus 8xy squared. Now remember, this 1 that's right here, we don't actually write that. So I'm going to erase it. So we're just left with x squared y. The 1 is just understood to be there, and we are done. Number 7. We have 3r squared plus 7r cubed minus 5r squared plus 3r cubed. So let's group our r's together that are alike, the ones that have matching exponents, and then work on combining them. So I have 7r cubed plus 3r cubed. Because there's a plus sign in front of that 3, that's why I take that plus sign with it. Now I have plus 3r squared minus 5r squared. I'm going to combine my first two, my 7 and my 3, and get 10r cubed. And now I'm going to change my next grouping so that I can actually add them. So keep the 3r squared plus negative 5r squared. So I keep my 10r cubed, and my 3r squared plus my negative 5r squared. They have different signs, so I'm going to take the difference and keep the sign of the greater. So that's going to be a negative 2r squared, and that is our answer. Number 8. We have negative 5 times 5n minus 9 plus 3 times 3n plus 6. We have two groupings of parentheses. We can't combine anything that's in those parentheses because they're not like terms. However, we can distribute the negative 5 to both of these items, and we can distribute the 3 to both of these items. So negative 5 times 5 is going to be a negative 25, because a negative times a positive is a negative. and we keep that n with it. Then we have a -5 times a -9. That becomes a plus 45. Because negative times a negative is a positive. Now we have a 3 times a 3n. That gives us a positive 9n. And we have 3 times 6, which is positive 18. Now that everything is out of the parentheses, we can look for like terms. I see that we have like terms with the n's, and then we have like terms with our just numbers alone. Okay, so my negative 25n plus 9n plus 45 plus 18. So negative 25n plus 9n, we need to take the difference, which is going to be 16n. Keep the negative since the 25 is greater. 45 plus 18 is 63. And we are done. Now let's look at number 9. We have 2 parentheses, and we're going to distribute with both of those parentheses. But what I want to point out is that right behind this minus sign here is an invisible 1. So stick you a 1 there, just so you don't forget it. Now let's work on distributing. We have a 6 times a 3k and a 6 times a -2 in this first grouping. Okay, so 6 times 3 is 18. Keep that k. 6 times a -2 is going to be a -12. Now we have a -1 times a 5k and a -1 times a -10. So -1 times 5k is going to be minus 5k. And -1 times a -10 is a positive 10. So it's really important that you distribute that negative to both of those numbers, because if you notice here, it changed that sign to a positive. It's important. A lot of times students will forget that, so make sure you pay close attention to that. Now I need to locate my like terms. I have 18k, I have a -5k. I also have a -12 and a plus 10. So 18k minus 5k minus 12 plus 10. So 18k minus 5k is 13k. And then a -12 plus 10. They're different signs, so we take the difference, which is a 2, keep the sign of the larger, which is a 12, so that's a minus. So our answer is 13k minus 2. Okay, let's look at number 10. Number 10 has 2 fractions in there that need to be distributed. We can do that, or we can go ahead and get rid of the fractions at the beginning so that we don't have to deal with them anymore. The key to getting rid of them is we need to multiply them by the same thing to cancel out those denominators. If we don't multiply them by the same number, then we're changing the value of our problem. So we just need to make sure that we use the same number, kind of like when we're getting common denominators. It's not changing the value, it's just putting it in a different form that's easier to work with. So what I want to do is multiply both of these by a 5/1. Okay. So when I do that, I only multiply the fractions because they're what are outside of the parentheses. I don't have to multiply what's in the parentheses yet. So 5 times a -3 is going to give us a -15/5. I'm not multiplying it times what is in the parentheses at this point. Then 5 times that -1/5, we get 5 times a -1, or excuse me, 5 times 1 is a 5, and then 1 times a 5 is a 1, or excuse me, a 5. And then I just rewrite the 10w plus 14. Okay. Now you'll notice we still have fractions, so they're not completely gone yet, but all we've got to do is simplify them now. So negative 15 divided by 5 is a negative 3. Rewrite the 5w plus 7. Now 5 over 5 becomes a 1. Because 5 divided by 5 is 1. Now we have whole numbers that we can distribute. So a negative 3 times the 5w and times that 7. So negative 3 times 5w is negative 15w. Negative 3 times a positive 7 is a negative 21. A negative 1 times a 10w is a negative 10w. Negative 1 times a positive 14 is a negative 14. All right, so now we need to find our common, or our like terms, excuse me, not common denominators, our like terms. So we have w's, and then we also have just numbers. All right, so our negative 15w minus 10w, I'm going to rewrite that down here, negative 15w. And I'm going to go ahead and do the keep, change, plus negative 10w. Then I have minus 21, do my keep, change, plus negative 14. Okay. So negative 15w plus a negative 10w is going to be a negative 25w. And then my negative 21 plus a negative 14 is going to be a negative 35. And we are done. All right, number 11, same situation. We need to find a number that we're going to multiply both of these by to get rid of the 2 and the 3. We need to pick the same number. We can't use different numbers. It needs to be the same number, okay? So to be able to cancel out the 2 and the 3, I'm going to need to multiply everything by, or the fractions by 6, okay? So I'm going to write out by 6, okay? So I have 6 times 1/2, which is going to be 6 halves. Rewrite my 2p plus 4. And then I have 1/3 times 6, which is going to be 6 over 3. Okay. Then I have my 9p minus 6. That doesn't change. All right, we're in the same situation now where we just need to reduce these fractions. So we get 3 times 2p plus 4. Then we get 2 times 9p minus 6. Okay. So I'm going to multiply the 3 times both items, and I get 6p plus 12. I have, almost forgot my minus there. I have 2 times both of these items. So 2 times 9p minus 18p. And then negative 2 times a negative 6 is going to give us a positive 12. All right, so now we need to find our like terms. So 6p minus 18p, let's rewrite that. So 6p, go ahead and do my keep, change, so it'll look like that. Then I have my plus 12 plus 12. 6p plus a negative 18p, I'm going to take the difference, which is 12. Take the sign of the greater, which is the 18, so it's a negative 12p. And then I have 12 plus 12, which is 24, and that is our answer. Now let's look at translating words into mathematical expressions and then simplifying them. So the first one says the sum of 5, 4 times a number, 8 times a number, and negative 2. They're giving a listing of all the items that we're going to add together. So let's say the sum of, let me change colors. The sum of 5 plus 4 times a number plus 8 times a number and plus negative 2. So the terms that are alike are the 4n and the 8n, and then the 5 and the negative 2. So I'm going to reorder these. I have 4n plus 8n. And then I have plus 5 plus negative 2. 4n plus 8n is 12n. And then 5 plus a negative 2 is going to be the difference, which is 3. The 5 is greater, so it's a positive 3. And we have 12n plus 3 as our answer. Number 13, the product of negative 9 and a number subtracted from, oh, that tells me it's going to be behind something, the sum of 3 times the number and 4. Okay, so the first part said the product, which is multiplication, of negative 9 and a number. So negative 9 and a number subtracted from, so I'm going to put that in parentheses, subtracted from the sum. We're going to be adding something here. The sum of 3 times the number, so 3n, and 4. Okay. Don't forget to have this negative in here with this 9 because it said a negative 9. And then that is being subtracted from, so that's why we have the subtraction sign here. So make sure you have both of those. All right, I'm going to bring this out because there's nothing to change about this. All right, so we have this will change, however, the subtraction and the negative 9. That's going to become, so basically what it is we have the keep, because this whole thing is one item. And then we have change, and then we have change, okay? So that becomes a plus, and then that becomes a 9n. All right, so we have 3n plus 9n. So I'm going to reorder that. 3n plus 9n, and then we still have our plus 4. 3n plus 9n is 12n, and then just the plus 4, and we are done. Okay. All right, 14. 5 times a number added to the sum of the number and 1. So 5 times a number added to the sum of, so that's something added together, the number and 1, so n plus 1. There's no negatives, so we can just bring everything out of the parentheses. Don't forget this n has an invisible 1, so we're actually saying 5 plus 1, which is 6n. And then we keep the 1 that doesn't have any like terms. And we are done. All right. Let's look at our Bible verse. So if there is any encouragement in Christ, any comfort from love, any participation in the Spirit, any affection and sympathy, complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. Philippians 2, 1 through 2. All right. Hope you're having a great day, guys. See you in the next video. Bye.